to my high school graduation and Lindsay's kindergarten graduation. And congratulations to her parents also for helping her graduate kindergarten. Throughout my speech, I will be describing what I learned while walking down an old path called home education. In fact, how about we picture homeschooling as if it were an old path? It will help us as we go along, and I promise it will all make sense at the end, where I will offer a piece of encouragement for the homeschooling students who are in the room. In thinking of homeschooling as a road, I'd like to read to you a poem written along the same lines. It's called The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there, had worn them about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. As we see in this poem by Robert Frost, this man was faced with the life-changing decision of which path to take. He knew once he made his choice, he would never come back. Yet he did not just stand and stare. He made his decision, and when he looked back on it, he had no regrets. My parents were faced with the same decision in 1996. They were standing at a crossroads in the road of life where one path led to public education and the other to home education. The first was well-traveled, the second, want and wear. In Jeremiah 6:16, the Bible says, Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. My parents did just as the verse describes, and asked for the old path, and where to find the good way. They prayed hard over their decision before stepping forth on the path to home education. They believed with all their hearts that this was what the Lord wanted them to do, against the scoff and scorn of friends and family members. They pressed on by faith. In my household, my home education began on the day of my birth, as it did for the rest of my siblings. No, I wasn't forced to complete math problems or reading assignments as a newborn. It was simply that my parents read and sang to me at a very young age, so much so that now that I'm grown, those are my two favorite things to do. When I was at the tender age of 3, I decided it was time to start doing school like the big girls. My mother kindly allowed me to try, and in allowing me to try, I think I added a few extra gray hairs because I insisted on not getting down from the table until I was finished with the book. Not just 1 or 2 lessons, the entire book. At a very young age, I was also very interested in animals, as were my siblings. My parents encouraged this interest by buying us hundreds of animal books, having us watch educational shows about animals, and teaching us how to play 20 questions animal edition, with the knowledge that we could glean from those sources. I remember playing it often with my parents and realizing that they knew as much as I did about the animals that we guessed. I believe, looking back on this memory, that my parents wished to encourage me and my siblings to study diligently by studying with us. When it was time for me to do real school, I did the normal academic subjects as well as taking piano and violin lessons from 1st to 2nd grade. My parents also always put in the effort to make every moment of each day a learning experience. So along with our everyday academic and musical studies, we would also take nature walks, long road trips to visit family while learning about American history along the way, and weekend trips to D.C. to visit the zoo, museums, and historical sites. My parents also would never miss opportunities to teach us life lessons, just as it says in Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Many of these life lessons were popular at one time, but are now looked down upon as old-fashioned. Some of these lessons were how to sit still and be quiet in church, even though we were in our living room, how to dust the furniture, how to stand up and have a conversation with an adult, how to have a good attitude in playing a game, how to always say please and thank you, how to share and be kind to each other and to our friends, how to obey our parents and all those in authority, how to wash the dishes, how to keep your room clean, and my siblings and parents would tell you that I haven't learned this lesson yet, but don't be good. How to change a tire, how to cook dinner when necessary, how to love unconditionally, how to be diligent with our schoolwork, how to lend a helping hand without hesitation, and many other lessons that will not fit in this speech for time's sake. The one thing that each of these lessons that I've learned from my parents have in common is this: they always led by example. They didn't just tell us how to have a good attitude. They had one themselves. They didn't just continually remind us to say please and thank you. They did it themselves. They didn't just tell us to be helpful whenever we could. They showed us the way by never ceasing to reach out a hand to those in need. I could go on, but in each case, it's the same. Keeping the commandments set down by God in Deuteronomy 6:6-7, where it says, "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently to thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." They never failed to show us each path to take by walking down the path themselves and asking us to follow them. Now that I'm finished with school, working my first real job, and thinking about my future, I look back on my life, and I'm thankful for my parents' tireless diligence and never ceasing to point me in the right direction, their faith in God's plan for my life, and their willingness to give up their time and help so that I will walk down the right path, have been the building blocks of my life, and a constant reminder of what an amazing God we serve. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for leading me down the right path. I'd now like to take this opportunity as I finish to encourage the homeschooling students that are in the room. I encourage you to thank God every day for the parents you've been blessed with. God put them into your life for a reason, and that's to teach you the things you need to know and help you figure out which paths are the right paths. Heed your parents' good example, and always remember that their greatest desire is that you seek after God and walk in His ways. Thank God every day that your parents have followed His plan for your education, and now you can proudly call yourself a homeschooler. Continue steadfastly in your studies and never settle for less than the best, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not.